I could hear voices from the lit area. This was it. The conspiracy was revealed. Okay, nobody move. I'm making a citizen's arrest. At last, I had them. I could see the fear in their eyes as their little scheme came to pieces. You're all going away for a very long time. And you can just drop those guns. You're impressing nobody. The door mechanism was trashed.
In the beginning was the end.
An end wrought by our enemies began our darkness.
In the end will be a beginning.
An end to our enemies heralds our new day.
Report.
The military establishments are in flux. The end of the Cold War has left them with no clear goal and as obvious targets for budgetary cuts. We have successfully promoted a sense of betrayal in the upper echelons. They feel that the politicians have cast them adrift. The pattern is emerging. Our time is now.
Good. Mademoiselle?
Governments are giving the corporations more respect than their own citizens. A groundswell of dissatisfaction and dissidence is growing. The corporations are becoming too large and complex for their own executives to control them. A blind belief in market forces is accelerating this trend the world over. The pattern is emerging. Our time is now.
The global population's belief in those that govern it has never been lower. We have inculcated a sense of immediacy and action over forethought and planning in all the major governments. They are acting on hasty decisions that cannot be completed or revoked without appearing foolish. The pattern is emerging. Our time is now.
Excellent. The tired old governments are dying a slow death from their own incompetence and our machinations. The millennium is almost upon us, and everything is in place for the rise of our new order. Almost. Professor, where is the broken sword?
As we discussed last time, with the loss of the manuscript, our search is as a corollary hindered.
And as discussed last time, you have been furnished with a dramatically increased budget. What have you been doing with our money, Professor?
We are working on the principle that the Templars That is to say, our predecessors.
Hold on. These are the Templars?
Must have left a trail when they were hiding the clues to the sword of Baphomet's location. I have a small army of historians and archaeologists ferreting out that trail.
I trust these historians and archaeologists are more trustworthy than your friend Pegram.
Pegram was loyal. He tried to protect the Lochmarn gem when the Hashashin came near.
And failed. And don't call that Syrian maniac the Hashashin. He's an assassin. Plain and simple.
That's not what he believes. He actually thinks.
Silence! Do I have to remind you that we have a sacred duty? A trust? When Philippe attempted to destroy the Order, we lost the sword and our power with it. Now we have the opportunity to reforge it. But time is short. We need results. Not petty bickering. Not excuses. Now, Professor Baphomet.
Yes, of course, my apologies. We will find Baphomet and the sword, manuscript or no. We have already found another element actually within Paris.
Excellent. What is it?
Well, we're not exactly sure at present.
Ha!
But I have my best people working on it. You would do well not to criticize others, Eklund. At least I have not murdered one of our own.
Of course. That guy was the bogus doctor in the hospital.
Marquet was a liability. Eklund dealt with him on my orders.
I beg your pardon, Grandmaster. I did not mean to.
Have you any good news for us, Professor?
We already know 3 of the elements. We know that Klausner had obtained the lens before he vanished.
Where was he?
Syria. We know that he arrived, but after that, nothing.
The assassin.
I fear so. It's a shame. Klausner was a good operative.
At the bottom of the steps, I could see a glow. It seemed a good moment to be cautious.
This will be our last meeting in person until we locate the sword of Baphomet. I hope that I don't need to emphasize the importance of finding it. Without it, our endeavors come to nothing. With the sword reforged, we will have the power to sweep the stage of all opposition. The new millennium will belong to us. The next time that we meet, it will be to become the princes of this world!
In the middle of the circle was a stump of stone, a shaft of daylight from the world above lancing down to touch it. The water seemed to belong to an underground river or something. It was way too deep to belong to the Catacombs. There was a large circle marked out on the floor with a stump in the middle. Around the circle I could see words inlaid into the stone. The light, falling from above, struck the gem and scattered in 5 neat rays. And each ray picked out a letter. Starting from the seal, I could read M-A-R-I-B, Marib. Now all I had to do was figure out what the heck that meant. Nico, I've seen them.
Who?
The Templars. I spied on their meeting in the Catacombs.
And you saw the Knights Templar?
I saw a bunch of guys masquerading as Templars. They're after something called the Sword of Baphomet. The bogus doctor was there, the guy who killed Marquet. The manuscript is the key, just as we thought. It shows the way to the broken sword, whatever that is.
And how does the assassin fit into all this?
He's out to stop them. These Neo-Templars, they're men and women in influential positions. Don't you see? Plantar was one of them. The assassin killed him for the manuscript, to stop them finding the sword.
But now we have got the manuscript.
Yes.
So, how do they hope to find the sword?
I don't know. They said something about a lens and a guy called Klausner who's gone to Syria. But they didn't seem to realize the significance of the very site of their meeting. You see, after they'd gone, I discovered a stone pedestal and a carved inscription. I set up the gem on the tripod, directly below a beam of light. The gem split the beam and lit the letters M-A-R-I-B.
Marib is a village in Syria.
Then the Neo-Templars are ahead of us. Klausner beat me to it.
You're not thinking of going there yourself, are you?
Why not?
These guys are crazy and dangerous. That reminds me, you should leave the gem here.
Okay, what about the tripod?
I'll send it back to Andre, anonymously.
Would you like this juggling ball?
Have you been drinking, Georges?
No, why?
Because you're talking crap.
Let's take another look at the manuscript. That's the tripod we borrowed from the museum. That's the gem that Pegram found in Lochmarn. There's a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection has 3 hideous faces. The Night Scroll bears a phrase in Latin. Through my teachings, you will be enlightened. There's a guy working on a loom. There's a guy with a sword and a bull. Between them is a gem supported by a tripod. Do you think I should go to Marib?
Syria is a long way, Georges.
The stand was being watched by a young boy, maybe 12 years old. An old executive toy and a cheap plaster statuette. There didn't seem much helpful around here. Hey there, young fella. Speaky you the English? Speak you the Anglese? Parlez-vous anglais?
Yes, si, and indeed oui, and rather better than you by the sound of it. My name is Nejo. Welcome to my grand emporium of quality merchandise.
So, this is your stand?
Oh, yes, sir. Though stand does not begin to do it justice. The finest in this bustling metropolis.
This is a bustling metropolis?
Well, not per se, no.
How much are those books there on the shelf?
Have you any Syrian pounds?
I think I might have a couple of Irish pund.
Then they're too expensive for you, sir.
You speak very good English.
Thank you, sir. I learned from tapes that my uncle procured.
Oh, a language course.
No, sir. Jeeves and Wooster. Gussie, Fink, Noto, Aunt Agatha, what ho?
Does the word Templar mean anything to you?
Templar. Ah, Templar. Templar! Why, yes, of course.
It does?
Yes, a splendid series of books by Mr. Leslie Chatteris, featuring the roguish Mr. Simon Templar.
Great. That's a real help, Nejo. Anything else?
The Saint television program featuring Mr. Roger Moore. of the quizzical eyebrow. And a stick man with a halo. Bing!
So all Templar means to you is Roger Moore.
I only watched it for the stick man with the halo. Bing! He was better animated.
So I'm correct in saying that the word Templar doesn't mean much to you.
Well, there was the Order of Knights who were wiped out in an Inquisition in 1312, I suppose.
That's them. What else do you know?
Just how much information do you think there is on a Trivial Pursuit card?
A what?
From the medieval edition. We had it on the stand a couple of years ago. Ask me what a feuter is. Go on, I know all this stuff.
Never mind. Okay, forget about the Templars for a minute. What do you know about knights?
Like the Crusaders, they came to the East on an insane and pointless mission. They sacrificed thousands of lives, including their own, for insensate pride. How anyone can find them romantic confounds me.
What do you make of this?
A man-sized double-ply tissue stained with Bestheimer's number 12 white pancake grease paint, apparently.
Here, shake hands, Nejo.
I'd rather not, sir. At least not while you've got that shake and shock buzzer clumsily concealed in your palm.
Oh, you noticed.
Outlawed in 3 separate arms limitation conventions, those are. I didn't have you down as a doctor.
I'm not. I, acquired it.
I didn't have you down as a petty thief, either.
I'm not. This plaster was very useful in Ireland.
Really? Your fund of traveller's tales never ceases to enthrall me.
What do you make of this?
Well, beyond the obvious, very little. That pattern seems very familiar, though.
Look at this. A lifting key as used by Parisian sewer workers.
Callooh, Calais, sir. I must remember this day for posterity. My grandchildren will be fascinated.
Do you know the name Merlin?
I'm afraid not, old bean.
Have you seen this man before?
No, sir, I'm glad to say. Cold eyes. Oh, a comedian. No surprise there.
What do you think of this, eh?
Oh, sir, what a splendid plaything. One day, when I am rich, I am going to build a world-renowned collection of brightly colored balls.
Are you serious?
In deadly earnest. People will come from far and wide to see my...
Yes?
collection. The Rockefellers and the Gettys can keep their hordes of so-called fine art. But answer me this. What good is a Picasso, I ask you, if you cannot bounce it off a wall?
You may have a point. Seriously, do you really think this thing's so great?
Take it away, you tempter!
I'll swap it for something off your stand.
Due to seasonal financial considerations, I'm afraid I cannot.
I thought you wanted this thing.
I do, sir. The stand doesn't.
Which in translation meant it's not really my stand, and I'll be in big trouble if I swap anything for something that I want myself.
Alternatively, is there Any service that you require?
Not at the moment, but I'll bear it in mind. So long, Nejo.
Toodle pip, sir.
It was a guess, but I figured the woman to be an American tourist. Just call me Sherlock. Hello. I was wondering whether you could help me.
Why, hi there, handsome. What can I do for you?
Hi, my name's George. I was just...
Well, it certainly is delightful to meet you, George.
I was...
My name's Mrs. Henderson, but you can call me Pearl, I'm sure.
Okay, Pearl. I was...
So nice to meet a friendly American face so far from home.
Pearl?
Yes, dear?
I was just wondering if you could help me.
Why, sure, precious.
What does this mean to you?
Gosh, is this some sort of psychological test?
No.
Oh, well, in that case, it's a red ball.
Does this red nose mean anything to you?
Reminds me of my late Uncle Abner.
Oh? Is he a clown?
No, he was a drunk.
Have you seen this man before?
No. A friend of yours?
No, not really. Have you ever heard of anybody calling himself Merlin?
Merlin?
No, Merlin. Merlin. There's an O in there.
Moulin?
You haven't, have you?
No, darling. No moulins.
Do you know what this is?
Lord, no. It looks painful, though.
It's a sewer key.
Who'd want to break into a sewer?
Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
You're a philomenist?
Don't they have secret handshakes?
Oh, George, now you're teasing.
I've got some plaster of Paris.
That's nice, dear.
What do you think of this?
Oh, looks scientific. It's a blood pressure thing, isn't it?
I liked her too much to zap her with the buzzer. What do you make of this grease paint stained tissue?
Oh, it's grease paint. I thought somebody had gaudy taste in makeup.
Do you know anything about medieval weaving?
I do a little needlework, but gosh.
It's okay. It was a long shot. Have you talked to the boy on the bric-a-brac stand?
Oh, you've met him? His name's Nejo, you know. Oh, he's just so cute, I could die. I'd love to bundle him up and take him back to Ohio.
He might not thank you.
I'm looking for something ancient, you know. Something to impress the folks back home. The poor boy was trying to do his best, but we still haven't found anything.
Have you ever heard of a group of knights called the Templars?
Sounds familiar. I remember. Duane had a book. The Holy Something and the Holy Something Else, I can't quite recall. I read a little of it.
And?
Seemed like a lot of hooey to me.
So, tell me a little about yourself, Pearl.
Me? Oh, a gentleman's interest is always so flattering. Well, my husband and I run a greetings card company in a cute little place called Akron in Ohio.
Akron? Cute? Little? Is your husband around, Pearl?
Well, as a matter of fact, yes, he is. Sorry to disappoint you.
I've got to go now, Pearl.
It's been a pleasure, George. Don't be a stranger.
How did this guy make a living selling useless old machine parts in the middle of nowhere? He didn't have anything that I needed. Embarrassed as I am to admit it, you can spot an American tourist a mile off. Hi, I was wondering whether you could help me.
Why, sure, son. Always got time for a fellow American. The name's Henderson. Duane Henderson.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Henderson.
Hell, boy, I'm not in the office. Call me Duane.
Oh, okay. Duane? My name's George Stobart. What do you think of this?
It's a ball. Big deal.
Recognize this?
A clown's red nose.
Have you seen this man before?
Maybe. Where'd you get it?
I just picked it up somewhere.
Sure. I'm always picking up photos of complete strangers and then asking around.
Ow! Damn it!
There. I've got another picture of a complete stranger. Maybe I'll ask around about this one.
Do you know the name Merlin?
Nope.
What do you make of this?
A manhole lifting key. So?
Hey, how come you recognize it?
Hey, how come you're carrying it?
Yeah, well, let's just drop the subject, shall we? Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Look, I've got some plaster of Paris.
Yeah, and I've got a picture of me shaking hands with George Bush. Of course, that was back in '76.
What do you think of this?
A blood pressure gauge? Why in blue blazes are you carrying that?
I'm carrying it for a friend. Shake hands, Duane.
Why?
I'm just being friendly.
Let's just be friendly by keeping our hands to ourselves. Yeah?
What do you think of this grease paint stained tissue?
You've been hanging around with actors?
Have you talked to Nejo?
Nejo? He's the youngster on that junk stand, right? Yeah, we've met him. He's a smart kid. Speaks 4 languages, and he's never had a day's formal education. He should go far. Kept trying to peddle garbage on us, though.
You're not going to find much worthwhile around here.
I know that, and you know that. But try telling Pearl. She reckons there's antiquities in them there stands.
Do you mind if I ask you an odd question?
Okay, but I might not answer it.
Do you know anything about the Templars?
The Knights Templar?
Yep.
Nope. Nothing at all.
Well, you knew they were an order of knights.
What I know and what I say are two different things, boy. I haven't lasted as long as I have in this business without knowing that.
In this business?
Sure. The greetings card business.
Oh, please. I saw a medieval picture of a woman. Royalty or nobility, something like that. She was looking in a mirror, but the reflection was of a man with 3 faces. What do you think of that?
I think you should be in therapy.
Does the image of a knight holding a crystal ball mean anything to you?
Hell no. What would a knight want with a hunk of glass?
I don't know. That's the prob.
What's wrong, boy?
It's not a crystal ball. It all came together in my head. What the conspirators had mentioned losing. The strange perspective of the manuscript. It's a lens. Do you think bulls have any significance around here?
Weird question, George. Nope, I don't think they have.
What does Pearl do for a living?
Oh, I run a greetings card company, and Pearl writes the poems for him. You ought to ask her to recite some.
You're a long way from home, Duane.
Could say the same about you, George.
Me? Well, I'm just sightseeing, that's all.
Without a camera, kinda lax to come all this way and not take pictures. Mind if I take a picture of you, George?
What? Why? Ow! You could have warned me.
You don't mind, do you, George? The folks back home will be real interested.
What exactly do you do, Duane?
Didn't I say? Oh, I run a greeting card company. Yep, we're based in Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland? Pearl said you're in Akron.
What was that?
Nothing. Just thinking out loud. Okay, well, I'll see you around, Duane.
Count on it, George.
The merchant was selling fruit. I decided I might have some later. I wasn't hungry and didn't want to buy fruit, so I didn't start a conversation. The stallholder's face wasn't a great ad for running a kebab stand. Hi, what's your name, sir?
Hello, you buy kebab. Most good.
What do you make of this?
Buy kebab. Most good.
What do you think of this?
Buy kebab. Come to eat.
Does this mean anything to you?
No, you buy kebab.
I'd value your opinion on this, sir.
La, you buy kebab. None?
What do you make of this, sir?
You buy kebab. You buy kebab. Yum, most good.
I'd value your opinion on this, sir.
La, you buy kebab. None?
What do you make of this, sir?
You buy kebab. You buy kebab. Yum, most good.
I'd value your opinion on this, sir.
La, you buy kebab.
What do you...
You buy kebab. You buy kebab. Yum, most good.
I'd value your opinion. What do you make of...
You buy...
Well...
Most good.
The stallholder's face... It was a kebab stand, and an ugly one at that. In the still air, the smell hung around like bad smells do.